Hey guys, today's video was inspired by a gentleman that came in the shop a few weeks ago and walked straight up to me and says, I need a good survival knife. What's the best one you have? Well, the thing with survival knives is they are kind of mission specific. I think a lot of people, when they think of a survival knife, they first think of the original survival knife we've all heard of, or most of us anyway. The early one is the Pilot survival knife. That was actually developed in the 50s for the Sabre pilot fighters, pilots in the Korean War, and it was originally called the Jet Pilot's knife, and it just became ubiquitous for a survival knife in general. But there's more to it than that, so stick around for a few minutes and let me put some things together here and we will discuss the particulars of survival knives. Now, if in fact the goal is to survive severely deteriorated circumstances in a catastrophic urban environment, the Pilot's knife can be a good choice. It's a stout blade, it has a double guard for piercing through, ragged sheet metal, whatever. Hammer pommel for breaking through glass if you need to. Very pointy, sharpened swedge for piercing. It definitely takes fighting into account. Both ends of this tool can deliver pain. That's a matter of fact, long known in history. If you're trying to survive other circumstances, there's other things to take into account. Maybe you just want a decent knife for your get home back. You just want a good multi-use knife, serrations for tearing through whatever, if you need to, sheet metal, vinyl, whatever, and a good sharp front portion and a tip for penetrating and a good grip. The SOG Seal Pup is great for that. It is a great little, contingency knife for surviving a lot of different circumstances. What a survival knife typically means is that it has specialized features that enable it to excel well in some sort of deteriorated circumstance. In the SE3, it's 1095 steel, so it's going to rust in a saltwater environment, or salt air environment. That's why they coat them with this DuPont traction coating, I think it was. But it has a glass breaking pommel and it has serrations for cutting. And the thinner blade, the very thin blade, it's just under 1/8 of an inch thick, encounters less resistance when being forced through, you're forcing it through sheet metal, fiberglass, plastic, a 55-gallon drum to repurpose it, or a bucket to repurpose it, whatever. And that's what survival knives are for. Repurposing is a big part of getting into that kind of survival knife. Now, if your goal is, to survive just an urbanized environment, just an unfamiliar one that you're trying to travel through, you don't want to draw a lot of attention, but you want to be equipped to where you can, handle some things if it needs be. A good multi-tool is a great one. I tell a lot of my students, if you're down to one knife in an urban environment, it probably should be a multi-tool because it brings the most to the table of anything else. You have not only the pliers that can be great for picking up things that are hot or jagged or whatever, they can be used for, turning screws and bolts that can't be turned with a screwdriver. It can be turned around and inverted and used as a defensive weapon, and very effective one. Just ask anybody that's ever been hit in the side of the head with a lot of force with a pair of needle-nose pliers. It can be very effective in a defensive role. Plus, it also brings to the table the screwdriver, a good actual straight-edge knife, and it has, this one is the Gerber Center Drive, one of my favorites. It's a little heavy, but it brings a lot of stuff with it. It has a serrated blade. Also has a little built-in pry bar that's handy. I use that a lot at the shop when we're setting up displays. But a multi-tool can be a very good one to have in a deteriorated urban environment if you're only going to have one. I tend to like to pair a multi-tool with a small fixed blade. That's one of the things that I had in mind when I designed the Tebow that Tops made for me years ago was to pair a small fixed blade for, you know, a good solid purchase to do whatever I needed to do, and a multi-tool. Now, if the goal is to survive, you know, a ride home from the other side of town when you find yourself somewhere you shouldn't be or don't want to be, you're you know, on the other side of your city, other side of your county, having to ride mass transit to get home, you're on familiar terrain, you don't know anybody, it can be a little scary, it can be a little disturbing sometimes. I've ridden some of the mass transit in Atlanta at night and in Miami at night and Dallas and a few other cities, and I didn't find it a lot of fun. I stayed, after the first time, I stayed prepared to defend myself if needs be. And one of the things I carry now for times when I'm in Atlanta, photographing some of the situations that are going on, some of the curious things that have happened in the last few years, is the Benchmade Presidio. And this one is the 517 SBK, I think. It's serrated black, and it's an auto, and it has a partially serrated blade and spear point, so it's gonna, and it's a very heavy, you know, steel framed aluminum scaled body, so it offers a lot of capability just in striking in a non-lethal roll. It offers a lot in slashing and tearing if things deteriorate to that point. Now, you do need to check into laws if you're going to carry things like this in your city. In some cities, in some states rather, autos are still illegal. Double-edged knives like this Gerber Guardian that I still carry some to this day, has since the 80s, are illegal. Luckily here in Tennessee we have common sense knife laws, so that isn't so much a problem. So you definitely want to look into that. But hopefully this gives you some food for thought, and we ask more questions when we're attempting to outfit you. When you come in the shop and you say, I need the best this, whatever it is that you have, we have to know what you're up against. You know, it's just like one of my favorite knives for surviving a situation where I'm in meetings in a cubicle environment with a lot of people who aren't used to some of the tools that I carry in my daily life. And Benchmade proper is a slip joint that is a very sturdy tool, very well made, that can be employed in a lot of different uses, but it does require two hands to open, so it's less off-putting for some people. And it's just a very simple design that is, for lack of a better term, more sheeple-friendly than some of the other knives that I carry. So hopefully this gives you some idea as you go forward on how to help us help you when you come in and ask for something and you say you want the best of anything, whatever it is. You want the best kitchen knife. What style of cooking? Do you really, must you put it in a dishwasher? That's an important question to answer on that one. What's the best pocket knife? What do you want it to do? Be a defensive tool or peel apples? Is it important that it be a rapid deploying, you know, pocket knife, or is it okay if it's when it takes two hands? There's a lot to know for us when we're trying to help you, you know, buy the products that you need to make your life a better place. So hopefully in the future you'll understand where we're coming from when you ask a question and we answer it with another question. And that's our only option until we've narrowed down the parameters behind the tool you're looking for. Thank you for stopping in for today's video and spending a little time with us and letting me kind of explain some things from my perspective. I've been a survival instructor for several years. I technically started when I was a kid, and I started taking the other kids in the neighborhood out one weekend and teaching them what my dad had taught me the weekend before. So I've had, you know, almost 40 years, more than 40 years actually, of teaching people how to survive different types of deteriorated circumstances. And, you know, always feel free to stop in the shop and ask questions about what will be better for this and what will be better for that. Because that's how it works. There's not a best for most individual circumstance, or for broad circumstances, best for individual circumstances. But anyway, thanks for coming in, and thanks for watching this video, and we appreciate your support greatly. And stop in for the next video. I'm working on one on reasons to carry a knife. I'm also working on one on uses for paracord, so we'll see which one I finish up first, and that'll be the next video. Till then, you guys be blessed and have a wonderful day.